Hey everyone, Dr. Frunke here with an exciting new video for you for a couple of reasons. Before we get into the new knife, I wanted to go through a couple of new things for the channel. If you look at the background here, maybe you've noticed over the last few months that the background on my channel was getting a little bit beat up. That's because it was a poster board with a piece of 3M carbon fiber vinyl on it. A lot of people ask me what my background was. Well, I've finally gone and upgraded that to an actual sheet of carbon fiber. I wanted to thank my good buddy Carbon Plate. He's actually the guy that supplies the carbon fiber for Shirogorov knives, like on this Sigma right here. He actually made me this large sheet of nice, beautiful carbon fiber. Secondarily, maybe you'll notice a difference in the video quality. I'm recording on a new phone here. This is the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. Now that's enough about the upgrades to the channel. Let's go ahead and talk about a new knife. In front of us is one of my favorite knives of all time and one of the most loved knives in my personal collection, and that is the Nick Chuprin and Robert Carter BBM collaboration. I love this knife because it's a perfect size, it's a very slicey blade, I love the materials, I love the finish work, and I love the fact that it comes from two makers that are very good at what they do. Rob Carter is a very storied knife maker. He comes from a lineage of knife makers, including Mel Pardue as his grandfather. And then Nick Chuprin is also an up-and-coming CNC knife maker. Amazing quality, amazing fit and finish. So you can imagine that I was very excited to hear that Ontario Knife Company was coming out with a production BBM. I wanted to go ahead and thank my good friend Sam Didio for sending this guy along. He's on Instagram, and I really appreciate the fact that he sent this for me to compare. This is going to be the very first time that I'm opening this. Before I open the box, I wanted to just recap. I also opened the second knife in the Carter Trinity collaborations here. That was the Carter Squared. Long story short, you're not going to see that knife again because I returned it. I bought that knife, and I found out that the blade was hitting the backspacer. That's sort of a fatal flaw to me. I was going to exchange it and see if a new one was going to happen, but Blade HQ just took it as a return, and I never pursued it beyond that. So that was sort of a fatal flaw. But this one is actually one that I've been very excited about because this one comes in somewhere in the $40 to $60 range, and it's a very exciting release if they've managed to keep the BBM spirit alive in this. So this is really the first time I'm opening this. No materials included inside, no story here. They did that on the Carter Squared, and I will say I'm a bit disappointed. That's a missed opportunity because, like I said, Rob Carter has got a nice story behind him and got a very strong lineage of knife making. I think they missed that. But here it is, the Carter Trinity, the third of three knives that are being made with the Ontario Knife Company here with Rob Carter. So right away, let's go ahead and just compare these two knives right next to each other. As you can see, they're very similar in a lot of different ways. I would say that the Trinity stays closer to Rob's actual design. Nick did a little bit of tweaking to the design when he was putting it into his CNC, and it made it just a little bit better, but the overall size profile is exactly the same. The blade length, even the blade shape and grind almost, the handle length, sort of the skinny handle profile. So I will say that right off the bat, it's sticking very closely to the BBM. So that's very exciting. Let's go ahead and get some actual vital signs on this guy. Pull the original BBM there out of the way. Up front, we are looking at a 3-inch blade with about 2.9 inches of overall cutting length. You're about 3.4 inches back to the pivot. About 7 inches of overall length, maybe a hair under 7 inches. You're looking at 3.9 inches of handle length, with an effective grip area around 3 3/4 inches. So it is a small knife, but that's one of the things that I liked about my BBM is that it's small, but it fills my larger hands. So this is coming in right at about 0.4 inches of overall width. That's a nice thin size for the pocket right there. And the blade stock is coming in at about 125 thousandths, something like that. So a nice slicey blade profile. I can feel that this thing is very light, likely attributable to this G10 scale going on right here. We'll go ahead and get the weight at 2.54 ounces. That is very impressive. I'm liking that a whole lot. So we'll get the scale off the screen here. Let's go ahead and break this knife down anatomically. Up front, you are looking at a blade of AUS 8 steel. That is a Japanese steel. A lot of people were deeply disappointed to see that the production BBM was coming out with AUS 8 steel. This is made in Taiwan here, as you can see with the labeling on the back. And the 1889 logo designating the year that the Ontario Knife Company was founded. About the steel, I will say that it keeps the cost down. This thing is coming in, like I said, in maybe the $40 to $60 range, depending on where you buy it. So a very affordable option. AUS 8 steel will do the job for a lot of people. It will hold an edge. I've had some pretty cheap budget knives with AUS 8 steel, and I've beat on them for years. And they keep cutting. And honestly, it's probably easy to sharpen. I think it's nice that they've kept a budget-friendly option in mind. Perhaps Ontario Knife Company is not the company to make the mid-tech version of the BBM. Perhaps we need to be waiting for somebody like Zero Tolerance or someone like that to come out with a knife with 20 CV steel. That may be the end-all, be-all production BBM. But this is a good start, I think, because you've got the overall size profile, you've got the blade profile, you're getting close to the ergonomics. So let's keep looking at this thing. We've got a nice area of flats. We've got a hollow grind here as the primary grind right there. A nice large harpoon swedge. This sort of modified tanto blade shape that's exactly the same as my BBM. Let's see. Do I have some paper sitting around here? In fact, I do. Wasn't really prepared. I wasn't planning on doing a cut test, but here we go. Got a little knife center. Oh yeah, look at that. That is very sharp, straight out of the box. That is quite a sharp knife. So that's actually quite impressive that this thing came this sharp, straight out of the box. That nice hollow grind is going to make it very slicey. So very, very impressed with that. Moving back to the pivot here, this looks like it's running on phosphor bronze washers. Definitely going to take this apart and service this a little bit. The action right out of the box, I can tell, probably needs a little bit of tuning. I will say that the detent seems to be quite strong. I know that my buddy Stasa23 and my buddy Treddy's Knife Reviews both have a copy of this and are going to be doing videos on this, and they've already complained about the strength of the detent. The flipper tab is a little bit smooth, and yeah, but it's working okay. Perhaps with a little bit of clean out and tuning, this is going to work just fine. You can hear that there's quite a little snappy detent in there. It's got a little double detent sound to it, a lot like the Gavco spinner collaboration with CKF. You see, I'm having to be a little bit forceful when I'm opening the knife, but it is opening, and I wonder if it will break in over time. I'm sure that it will. And honestly, I like phosphor bronze washers. I think that they're a strong and reliable pivot lubrication mechanism right there. It's got a single stop pin right there that appears to be the opening and closing position right there. Moving back to the handles, this appears to be some type of nice polymer right here. I'm not sure if it's G10. It could be Zytel or something like that. It feels a bit like G10. It certainly feels strong. And this is going to be a stainless steel frame lock right here. So no need for an insert because it's steel on steel. Does not appear to be internally milled in any significant way. One thing that I definitely like is that the lock bar cutout is actually on the inside. A very small thing about the BBM that I have is that this tends to catch on the pockets a little bit, these little ridges right here. Just a little thing that is kind of a minor annoyance, but this is not going to have that. It's going to slide in and out very smoothly. It appears to have a very nicely done milled pocket clip. That's really, really nice. Honestly, initial impressions are okay on this. I think that Stasa was calling this a train wreck of a knife, and so I'm going to have to wait and reserve my judgment for a little while. I will say that it's got a nice little snappy detent. I think maybe the action could be improved, but maybe with a little bit of tuning, I'm going to get it there. I'll definitely be giving you guys a knife surgery video on this, and I'll try to do a final diagnosis because this knife means a lot to me. I'm in love with my BBM, and I'm excited to see a production version of that coming out. This is at a lower, more affordable price point, so I think a whole lot of people are going to enjoy that. I'm going to just put my hand on it here. I'm noticing that the flipper tab kind of protrudes into that forward finger choil area. One of the reasons I really like the BBM is that I can put it in my larger hand like this and sort of choke up. That is getting in the way a little bit, but it's not overly uncomfortable. With no jimping, it's not being very uncomfortable. Well, anyways, guys, tell me what you think of this Carter Trinity right here, the cheap production BBM. Leave some comments down below. Click like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Head over to Instagram and follow me there at Dr. Frunky. And as always, guys, this is Dr. Frunky saying Take care.